Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Module 1 of SSC 200. Our theme is going to be Love, Sex, and Globalization. I am Dr. Glayzer or Professor Glayzer. Whichever one you want to call me is totally fine. We are using the textbook that is by Bill Jankowiak. The title of the textbook is Intimacies, Love, and Sex Across Cultures. My office is SJ421, but since this is an online summer course, I'm not really anticipating going to the office for office hours. I will hold regular office hours, which you can find in the syllabus, and they'll be via Zoom, and the link is right there. So during those office hours, I will just be in my Zoom room, and you can come hang out whenever you want or ask me questions or whatever you want. I am here for you. So let's talk a little bit about me. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm originally from Sacramento, California, where I grew up until I was about 21. I went to community college there, absolutely fell in love with anthropology. I never really thought that I would be one to go and get my PhD, but it turns out I was. Fell in love with anthropology and transferred to UC San Diego, where I finished my bachelor's degree. Graduated from UC San Diego in 2008 during the economic crisis that happened that time. We're in a different economic crisis now, but during that economic crisis, and there were no jobs or anybody hiring people, really high unemployment. So I ended up going to Asia, and I sort of out of necessity to pay off these little things I have called student loans. Went to Asia, went to South Korea in particular, and I taught English to kindergartners and elementary school students for about 2 years. Then I spent another couple of years traveling around Asia. I'll talk a little bit more about that soon, before starting my master's degree, which was at Michigan State University, and then I decided to go on and finish my PhD there, which I finished just in 2020. So I know we're sort of coming out of the pandemic, but I have both the experience of teaching during a pandemic, but also being a student during the pandemic. So I really feel for everything that you all have been going through lately. I lived in Chicago for 4 years, and I was teaching at DePaul University, but I moved to Dayton. This slide says 5 days ago because I used this slide last year for the first time. I've been living in Dayton now for about a year. Not a year, 10 months? This will be my first summer in Dayton, and really liking it. I don't know if any of you live in Dayton yet, if you're transferring here or anything, but so far so good. So if you go onto the course website, let me figure out how to change slides. If you go onto the course website, it'll look something like this, and in the overview section, you can download the syllabus right here. I recommend you do that because our very first quiz is going to be a syllabus quiz, just making sure that you and I are on the same page in terms of some basic facts about the course and how things are going to work. Okay? So next, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about me in general. As I said, in 2008, I think I moved to South Korea. It might have been 2009. I was English teacher there. 1 year I spent in Busan, which is a big, large city in the south of the country. And the other 2 years I spent living in Seoul, the big mega city of 25 million people. These are a picture of some of my students. I show them because they're adorable, and I really I'm sure you guys are great. You're going to all be great students, but it's like, look at them. They were great. I really miss those kids, and it's weird to think about them as being teenagers now. There we are again. And this slide brings up the topic that is going to start us off in this class, because this is love, sex, and globalization. We're going to start out by talking about globalization in particular, because most of us are more familiar with love and sex, to be honest. So we're going to talk about globalization. Now, this is an image that we went on a field trip. We went on a field trip, you see me there, and we went on a field trip to Outback Steakhouse. And it turns out this is really common in South Korea. People are really, their kindergartens go to Outback Steakhouse. We went to a Dunkin' Donuts one time for a field trip. And I don't really know why we were there. What are we doing? What are the students learning? What are the kindergartners learning about life and things by going to Outback Steakhouse? I don't know if it was just because they gave free snacks to us or what, but it was really odd, and we'll talk more about that in some of the next videos on globalization. But yeah, keep that in mind. I don't know if they thought they were learning about Australian culture by going to Outback Steakhouse, but because they have an Australian theme at Outback, but it's an American company. I don't know what they thought they were learning there. But after living in South Korea for a little while, I moved. Oh, I didn't move. I started traveling, and so this is my sort of route that I did when I was traveling around Asia. And this was actually all done by bicycle. I'm a big cyclist. I like doing these really long, independent bike rides across countries. So I did this little, as you can see up here, I did this little goodbye tour to South Korea. I rode around the island, and then I took a boat. I didn't ride this leg right here over the ocean, but I took a boat from Seoul to Tianjin outside of Beijing. Rode through Beijing and most of China, through Tibet, Nepal, over the Himalayas into New Delhi, and then I wasn't supposed to be in New Delhi. I didn't want to go to India originally. I was going to ride all the way to Egypt, but that didn't end up working out for me because Osama bin Laden that year was killed in Pakistan, so it was recommended I don't ride through Pakistan. And also the Arab Spring took place in Egypt, so there was all this turmoil. So I ended up riding to Delhi, and I was there during the monsoon season, which was terrible. So I flew to Vietnam and continued my ride from there. So I rode through Vietnam, through Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and ended in Bangkok, Thailand. And this is just to give you some background. We're going to be talking a lot about different cultures, different intimacies, different things of that nature. Particularly, my emphasis is obviously going to be on Asia because that's where I have the most experience. But yeah, I can speak to a lot of this stuff from firsthand experience. So this is what it looked like when I was traveling. This picture at the top is me. I was camping most of the time. As I was traveling, and I would bike someplace, set up a tent and a little stove that I had and cook. Sometimes there were hundreds of miles between cities, and so I'd have to carry all the food and water I needed for multiple days just with me. This mountain back here that is up in the clouds, that's actually Mount Everest. This picture was taken in Tibet. This picture is also from Tibet. I was riding through that area by myself for a long time. And this image is a Wat, which is a temple that was in Cambodia that I took. So just some images of the ways I traveled. So your very first forum post, I'd like you to sort of introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about yourself. We're going to be in this class together for a while. Well, not even for a while. It's only 6 weeks. But introduce yourselves. Tell us your name, your major, your year, some hobbies that you like to do, and what made you choose this SSC course. Is it just the only course that fit your schedule? I mean, we don't really have a schedule since it's asynchronous. But what about Love, Sex, and Globalization drew you in, if anything? Did you choose this class for the theme or for some other reason? If you want to, you could share pictures like I have. This is me. When I have a beard, I look different. This is my spouse, Jen. And this is our dog. We don't have any children, but this is our dog, Soju. And this is obviously me and Soju when we were living in Chicago. So yeah, please do that forum post when you have a chance.